Let's begin. But first, subscribe and click like. Where did you find me? I love knowing who's on the other side. His hand wrapped around my wrist before I could run. You know what happens to girls who steal from me? He whispered, and I could smell expensive cologne mixed with whiskey and something darker that made my stomach drop. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. The champagne bottle I'd knocked over was still rolling across the marble floor of the Inferno Royale's VIP lounge, leaving a trail of $1,500 liquid behind it. Everyone in the room had gone silent. Not the kind of silence where people are shocked. The kind where they know someone's about to disappear and they don't want to be next. I should probably back up. My name's Emma Lawson, and 6 months ago I was sleeping in my car in a Walmart parking lot with $43 to my name and a phone that kept buzzing with calls from debt collectors I couldn't answer. See, my stepmom Crystal had made an announcement over breakfast one Tuesday morning that changed everything. She'd counted out $380 in crumpled bills on the kitchen table and said, "There's only enough for one bus ticket out of Vegas." My dad, Derek, the man who used to braid my hair, who taught me to ride a bike, who promised he'd always protect me, he just looked at me. Then he looked at Madison, Crystal's daughter from her first marriage, and he chose her. "Madison needs to get to her aunt's in Phoenix," Crystal said, like it was the most reasonable thing in the world. My dad nodded, didn't even meet my eyes. Madison at least had the decency to look uncomfortable, but she took the money. She packed her bag. And 3 hours later, I watched their taillights disappear down Boulder Highway, while I stood in front of the Stardust Inn, room 12, with a duffel bag and an eviction notice that gave me 72 hours. The thing about rock bottom is that you don't realize how far down it goes until you're standing in it. I tried everything. Applied to 47 jobs in 2 days. Gas stations, fast food, warehouse work. Nothing. Las Vegas doesn't care about desperate. It feeds on it. By day 4, I hadn't eaten in 36 hours, and I was watching a couple throw away half a pizza outside a casino. I actually considered digging it out of the trash. That's when I saw the sign, Inferno Royale, now hiring event staff. Walk-ins welcome. I didn't know then that the Inferno Royale wasn't just a casino. Sure, it had slot machines and poker tables and all the glittering bullshit that keeps tourists coming back for more. But upstairs, in the private rooms where cameras didn't reach, that's where the real business happened. Drugs, money laundering, girls who smiled with dead eyes. I didn't know any of this when I walked through those doors in my only clean dress, desperate enough to take anything. The woman who interviewed me was named Lila, 50-something with eyes that had seen too much. She looked me up and down like she was appraising merchandise. "You're pretty," she said. "Skinny, but pretty. That'll work." I didn't know what she meant. She handed me a uniform, black dress, white apron, hair pulled back, and told me to show up at 8 that night for a private event. $200 cash at the end of the shift. I would have done it for 50. The VIP lounge was something out of a movie. Crystal chandeliers, leather couches that probably cost more than my dad made in a year, and men in suits that fit like they were born wearing them. I was carrying champagne on a silver tray, trying not to shake, when I heard someone laugh. It was the kind of laugh that makes your spine straighten. Commanding. Cold. I turned to look, and that's when I saw him. Dante Caruso. I didn't know his name yet, but I knew power when I saw it. Mid-30s, dark hair slicked back, a scar that cut through his left eyebrow like a signature. He was sitting in the center of the room, surrounded by men who looked like they killed people for a living. Probably because they did. He wasn't the loudest person there. He didn't need to be. Everyone orbited around him. Lila grabbed my arm as I passed. "Table 7, she hissed. "Don't fuck this up." Table 7 was his table. I walked over, tray balanced, heart hammering. I was doing fine until someone bumped into me from behind. The tray tilted. The bottle, Cristal, I learned later, $1,500 a pop, slid off and shattered on the marble. Champagne exploded everywhere, including all over Dante Caruso's custom Italian suit. The room went dead silent. I froze. Dante stood up slowly, champagne dripping from his jacket, and every eye in the place locked on me. I wanted to apologize, wanted to run, but his eyes caught mine and I couldn't move. They were dark, almost black, and they looked at me like I was something interesting. Not angry, curious. He stepped closer. I stepped back. He smiled. "What's your name?" His voice was quiet, controlled. The kind of quiet that's more terrifying than yelling. "Emma," I managed. My voice came out as a whisper. He tilted his head, studying me like I was a puzzle he wanted to solve. Emma, he repeated, like he was tasting it. You just spilled $1,500 on me, Emma. How do you plan to pay that back? I didn't have an answer, couldn't speak. He reached out and I flinched, but he just tucked a strand of hair behind my ear. His fingers brushed my neck. I felt my pulse jump. I don't have it, I said. I figured. He stepped even closer. I could feel the heat coming off him. Smell that cologne again. Cedar and smoke and danger. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to work for me until that debt is paid off. And maybe, if you're useful, I'll keep you around after. It wasn't a question. Wasn't an offer. I should have said no. Should have walked out. But I had $43, no job, and nowhere to go. And something about the way he was looking at me made my stomach flip in a way that had nothing to do with fear. Okay, I whispered. His smile widened. Predatory. Good girl. He turned to Lila. Get her cleaned up. She starts tomorrow. Then he walked away, and I realized I was shaking. Not from fear, from something else entirely. That night, back in my shitty motel room, I tried to convince myself I'd just agreed to a normal job. Waitress, maybe. Event staff. Something safe. But when I closed my eyes, all I could see was the way Dante had looked at me. Like I was something he wanted. Something he planned to own. The next morning, a car showed up at my motel. Black SUV, tinted windows. The driver handed me a phone. Mr. Caruso wants you at the Inferno by noon, he said. The phone was already programmed with one contact. Dante. I stared at it. This was the moment I could have run. Could have gotten on a bus to anywhere and never looked back. But where would I go? Back to a family that chose someone else? To a city that didn't give a shit if I lived or died? I got in the car. The driver didn't speak the entire ride. When we pulled up to the Inferno Royale, he led me through a back entrance I hadn't seen before. Elevators that required a key card. Hallways with no cameras. We went up, 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 past the casino floors, past the hotel suites, all the way to the top. The penthouse. The doors opened and I stepped into Dante Caruso's world. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the strip. Furniture that cost more than most people's houses. And Dante, standing by the window with a glass of whiskey, watching the city like he owned it. Which I'd learn later, he kind of did. He turned when I entered. Still in a suit, but casual this time. No tie. Top button undone. It shouldn't have been attractive. It was. Come here, he said. Not a request. I walked over, legs shaking. He gestured to the view. You see that? The entire glittering sprawl of Las Vegas stretched out below us. Every light down there represents money, power, control, and I own most of it. He looked at me. You're going to learn how this world works, Emma, and if you're smart, you'll survive it. I should have been terrified. Should have asked what he meant, but all I could think about was how close he was standing, how his voice made my skin prickle. What do you want me to do? I asked. He smiled, set down his glass, stepped closer until I could smell that cologne again. Right now, he murmured, I want you to understand something. His hand came up and gripped my chin, forcing me to meet his eyes. You're mine now. You work for me. You live where I say. You do what I tell you. And in return, I'll make sure you never have to sleep in a fucking Walmart parking lot again. His thumb brushed across my bottom lip, and my breath caught. Do we have an understanding? I couldn't speak, could barely think, but I nodded. Good, he whispered. Then he let me go and stepped back like nothing had happened. Lila will show you your room. You'll start tonight. He picked up his phone, already moving on to the next thing. I stood there, frozen, until Lila appeared in the doorway and gestured for me to follow. As I walked out, I glanced back. Dante was watching me, and the look in his eyes made it very clear. I wasn't an employee. I was something else entirely. That was 3 months ago. And I'm recording this because I need someone to know what happened. What's still happening. Because the debt I thought I owed Dante Caruso, that was never about money. And the family that abandoned me, they have no idea what they pushed me toward, or who I've become since the night I stopped being Emma Lawson, the girl nobody wanted, and became something far more dangerous. His. The first week working for Dante Caruso, I thought I was just running errands. Picking up packages from unmarked warehouses, delivering envelopes that I knew better than to open, sitting in on meetings where men discussed shipments and territory in voices that never rose above a whisper. I was invisible, a pretty face in the background taking notes, That's what I told myself anyway. But Dante's eyes followed me everywhere. And at night, when I went back to the room he'd given me, down the hall from his, too close for comfort, I could feel him on the other side of the wall. It was during the second week that things shifted. We were at dinner, some high-end Italian place that Dante owned, meeting with a man named Viktor Morozov, Russian accent, dead eyes, the kind of guy who smiled when he threatened you. He kept staring at me throughout the meal, not subtle about it. When Dante stepped away to take a call, Victor leaned across the table. "How much for the girl?" he asked Lila, who'd come along as Dante's second. "She's not for sale," Lila said flatly. Victor laughed. "Everything's for sale in this city." When Dante came back, Victor made the offer directly. 50,000 for one night with her. The table went silent. I felt sick. Dante sat down slowly, picked up his wine glass, took a sip. Then he smiled. "You think you can afford her?" Victor's smile faltered. "I just offered you 50,000. Dante leaned forward. "Emma isn't merchandise, Victor. She's mine. And I don't share." The way he said it, calm, absolute, possessive, made my chest tighten. Victor stared at him, then at me. Then he laughed and raised his glass. "Lucky girl," he said, but his eyes promised violence. That night, Dante drove us back in silence. I was shaking. Couldn't stop replaying Victor's eyes on me, the way he'd talked about buying me like I was nothing. When we got to the penthouse, Dante poured himself a drink. Poured one for me, too. I downed it in one gulp. "You okay?" he asked. I wanted to lie, say I was fine. But something about the way he was looking at me, actually seeing me, made the truth spill out. "That's what I am to you, right? Just another thing you own?" He was across the room before I could blink, grabbed my face with both hands, forced me to look at him. "You think I'd let Viktor Morozov touch you if you were just a thing?" His voice was low, dangerous. "You think I'd kill a man over a fucking asset?" My heart was pounding. "Would you?" I whispered. "Kill him?" Dante's thumb traced my cheekbone. "If he tried to take you?" In a heartbeat. Then he kissed me. Hard. Desperate. Like he'd been holding back for weeks and couldn't anymore. I should have pushed him away. Should have remembered that this was my boss, a criminal, someone who could destroy me without blinking. But I kissed him back, grabbed his shirt, let him push me against the wall. When he finally pulled back, we were both breathing hard. "This complicates things," he muttered. "Yeah," I agreed. He smiled. "Rare, real. Good. I like complicated." After that night, everything changed. I wasn't just working for Dante anymore. I was his, in every sense of the word. We didn't talk about it, didn't define it, but everyone knew. The way he touched me in meetings, hand on the small of my back, fingers brushing mine. The way he kept me close at all times. The way he looked at anyone who stared too long like he was deciding how to dispose of the body. 3 weeks in, my phone rang. Unknown number? I almost didn't answer. "Emma?" The voice made my blood run cold. Madison. My stepsister. The one who'd taken the bus ticket while I got nothing. "How did you get this number?" I asked. "Dad gave it to me." "Emma, I need help." I should have hung up, should have blocked her, but old habits die hard. "What kind of help?" Her voice cracked. "Mom, Crystal. She's been hitting me. Took all my money. I'm alone in Phoenix and I don't know what to do." Part of me wanted to feel vindicated. Wanted to say, "Now you know how it feels." But she was crying, terrified, and despite everything, she was still the girl who used to share her Halloween candy with me when we were kids. Before Crystal poisoned everything. "Where are you?" I asked. She told me. I hung up and stared at the phone. Dante walked in, took one look at my face. "What happened?" I told him. Expected him to tell me to forget about her. Instead, he said, "You want to help her?" I nodded. "Then we'll help her." 2 days later, Madison was in Las Vegas. Dante sent a car, paid for her bus ticket, set her up in a hotel room at the Inferno Royale. When I saw her, she looked like hell, bruise on her cheek, too skinny, eyes hollow. She hugged me and whispered, "Thank you." I wanted to hate her, wanted to make her feel the abandonment I'd felt, but she was just a kid who'd been caught in the same trap I had, a family that chose themselves over everyone else. Crystal showed up 3 days later, stormed into the Inferno Royale lobby screaming Madison's name, demanding money. Security called Dante. He came down personally, me at his side. When Crystal saw me, her face twisted. Of course you're here, she spat. Always so needy, Emma. Pathetic. Something in me snapped. You left me with nothing, I said quietly. Not even a goodbye. She laughed. You were always a burden. Madison deserved that ticket. Not you. Dante's hand landed on my shoulder. Gentle, grounding. Then he looked at Crystal. You have 60 seconds to walk out of here before I have you removed. Crystal glared at him. Who the fuck do you think you are? Dante smiled. It wasn't kind. I'm the man who owns this casino, this city, and the girl you threw away. He leaned in close. If I ever see you near Emma or Madison again, you'll disappear. We clear? Crystal's face went white. She looked at me one last time. Then she ran. I didn't feel victorious. Just empty. Dante pulled me aside. You okay? I shook my head. She's right. I was pathetic. Desperate enough to let you control my entire life just because I had nowhere else to go. He cupped my face. You think I kept you around out of pity? His voice was fierce. Emma, I kept you because you're the first person in 10 years who looked at me and didn't see a monster, who didn't want something from me. He kissed my forehead. You're not pathetic. You're mine, and I take care of what's mine. Madison left a week later. Dante gave her money to start over. Enough for rent, school, a fresh start in California. She hugged me goodbye. I'm sorry, she whispered, for taking the ticket, for everything. I hugged her back. Just don't waste it this time. She nodded, and when she walked away, I felt something loosen in my chest. Forgiveness, maybe. Or just the realization that holding on to hate would only poison me the way it had poisoned Crystal. My father called 2 months later, left a voicemail, said he was sorry, said he'd made a mistake, asked if we could talk. I listened to it 3 times, then I deleted it, didn't block him, just never called back. Some bridges you don't burn, you just stop crossing them. So here I am, 6 months later, recording this in Dante Caruso's penthouse while he sleeps in the next room. I'm not the same girl who got abandoned in a Vegas motel. I've seen things I can't unsee, done things I can't undo. I'm tangled up with a man who's dangerous and possessive and probably bad for me in every conventional way. But he's also the only person who's ever chosen me, fought for me, killed for me. People ask if I regret it, if I wish my family had taken me instead of leaving me behind. And the honest answer is no, because being left behind led me here, to a life I never could have imagined, to someone who sees me as more than a burden. My stepmother said there was only money for 1 ticket. My father agreed, my sister took it, and I stayed. Not because I had to, because maybe, somewhere deep down, I knew I was meant for something else, something darker, something mine. If you're listening to this and you've ever been left behind, chosen last, or thrown away, I need you to hear me. Sometimes the worst thing that happens to you is actually the door opening. And yeah, maybe what's on the other side isn't safe or conventional or what anyone would choose for you, but it's yours. And that's worth more than anything. Dante just walked in. He's looking at me with that expression that means he wants me to come back to bed. So I'm going to end this here. My name is Emma Lawson. I was abandoned by my family with $43 and nowhere to go. And I became someone powerful, dangerous, and finally loved. If that's not a happy ending, I don't know what is. Thanks for listening.